gator bait.
Plan tomorrow with Newswatch 7's upfront forecast tonight.
The following is a special presentation of ABC Sports.
Last year at the Devaney Center, a controversial play ended regulation between third-ranked Kansas and Nebraska. Husker forward Bruce Chubbuck sprints the court alongside Alonzo Jamison and blocks the potential game-winning basket as the clock expires. Kansas cried foul, but the game goes to overtime. Then as time runs out in the OT, freshman Jamar Johnson launched the three-pointer from the corner for the buzzer beater and the upset win over KU. Today, the Jayhawks return to Lincoln, again ranked third in the nation, and again atop the Big 8 conference standings. But winning has been difficult in Lincoln for Kansas, losing 2 in a row and 12 of their last 16 at the Devaney Center. Nebraska began the year ranked in the top 25, and they won their first 7 games, but they've struggled of late. They're playing .500 basketball over their last 14 contests. Danny Nee's 3 freshman recruits were rated as one of the top 5 groups in the country. And guard Eric Strickland stepped up against Missouri last week with 28 points, a new freshman scoring record. Will another freshman step up again today? It's the Jayhawks and the Huskers next.
Welcome to Pizza Hut College Basketball.
And welcome to the Devaney Center in Lincoln, Nebraska, where today the Kansas Jayhawks meet the Nebraska Cornhuskers. The 200th meeting between these two schools, the oldest rivalry in the Big 8 Conference. Kansas stands at 5-0, Nebraska at 2-4. Needless to say, folks, we got a full house here today. Along with Dick Vitale, I'm Roger Twibel. And Dick, 3/4 of the way through the season, this becomes a huge game for Nebraska.
Well, it really does, Roger. They're 2-4 in a conference. They're 14-7 overall. Danny Nee's brought a lot of excitement, as you can feel it here, the electricity. But they need a win over a really nationally rated team. They do not really have more than one quality win, the only being over Missouri. They need this win if they want to really enhance their chances to make it 3 consecutive years into the big dance, the NCAA tournament.
On the other hand, this has been a place that the Jayhawks have struggled through the years.
Well, they've lost 5 of the last 6 here. They lost last year in that buzzer beater that we showed on top of the show. Kansas needs a win to continue their march for the Big 8 championship. And also, if they want to be one of the 4 magical 4 teams, they get a #1 seed.
When you talk about the strength of the Kansas Jayhawks, you look to the backcourt, and that's where the big matchup's going to be today.
Well, whenever you talk about Kansas, you talk about the great backcourt of Jordan and Walters. Adonis Jordan is the key defensively. He puts such pressure on the basketball, causes all kinds of turnovers. They must handle that pressure, Nebraska, if they want a chance to win here today.
Meanwhile, Danny Nee's got all those young kids, and he's got a sophomore at his point.
Well, Jamar Johnson, he's really had an up and down kind of year, like a Dow Joneser. A lot of potential, good ability. He's going to have to handle the pressure, get Nebraska to execute their offense, and get the ball over to Hayakowski, baby, who can shoot the rock. Hey, this place is alive. This is rocking and rolling, baby.
Dick, I thought Lincoln, Nebraska was football country. Is this going to be basketball country, too?
I'll tell you, Danny Nee's done an amazing job in generating a lot of excitement. He came from out of Ohio University, but he's a New Yorker. He played for Al McGuire.
Well, the Nebraska Cornhuskers are looking to make it 3 straight over Kansas here in Lincoln. We'll be back with the opening tip-off. It's the Jayhawks and the Cornhuskers coming right up.
Volvo just figured out how to lower the defense budget without threatening national security. Call for the dealer nearest you. While the new administration may offer Americans a new lease on life, we can definitely offer you a new lease on a Volvo. Call for the dealer nearest you.
Everybody hates to eat and run. We'd rather take it slow. But the way this life is going, gotta grab your food and go. And when all that running round catches up with you at last, get yourself some Alka-Seltzer and you'll feel better fast. For acid indigestion or heartburn with headache, nothing's faster or more effective than Alka-Seltzer. Get yourself some Alka-Seltzer and you'll feel better fast. Use only as directed.
Tony and Diane get regular insurance checkups just like they get regular medical checkups. I'm State Farm Agent Carlos Bermudez. I have been their State Farm agent 7 years. A family insurance checkup helps them make sure all their coverages are up to date. It's also a good time to explore options, like how their life insurance plan can be adapted to help with their daughter's college education. I think the family insurance checkup is something everybody can feel good about.
State Farm is there.
The world's first dynamo was invented by Werner Siemens in 1866. It began the revolution that brought electricity to everyone. That was then. This is now. The generation, distribution, and control of energy are at the heart of Siemens today, where you work, live, and play. And with 35,000 people at work nationwide, Siemens is leading the way into the next century. Siemens, precision thinking.
This is hydroplaning in less than an inch of water, and they're not being pulled by a boat, but by Goodyear AquaTread radials. AquaTread's deep groove design channels water away to keep more tire in contact with the road for outstanding wet traction. This is hydroplaning. This is AquaTreading, the all-season AquaTread only from Goodyear. It comes with a 60,000-mile tread life warranty. Goodyear AquaTread. Try a set. We like to say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
This ABC Sports Raycom telecast is being brought to you by Pizza Hut. Sometimes you gotta stop and smell the pizza. By Buick and your local Buick dealers. Remember Buick, the new symbol for quality in America. And by State Farm Insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
And welcome back here to the Bob Devaney Sports Center on the campus of the University of Nebraska. This Big 8 game between Kansas and Nebraska. Let's check out those starting lineups for you right now. Notice Steve Woodbury, number 20, getting the start for Kansas. He's their sixth man, but Darren Hancock, the junior college transfer, had eye surgery last week, did not play on Monday night. He is suited up and ready to go today. Scott and Pauly, Walters and Jordan in the backcourt, and then Badgett and Chubbuck, the forwards, Chandler, the center, Johnson and Piakowski, the guards for the University of Nebraska. Roy Williams in his 5th year as head coach at the University of Kansas, the 1992 Associated Press National Coach of the Year and the Big 8 Coach of the Year, and his counterpart in his 7th year at the University of Nebraska, Danny Nee, who has led his team to consecutive NCAA tournaments, Dick. First time it's ever been done in Nebraska history.
Well, you know, 1986 was the first year they ever went to an NCAA tournament under Mo Iba, the son of the late, great Hank Iba. He took him to the NCAA tournament. He went out to TCU. Danny Nee came here from Ohio University, and he's brought about a lot of spirit. Plays an up-tempo game, fast-paced game. Kids love the transition game.
A native New Yorker is Danny Nee. Vitale and him used to attend coaching clinics back when they were high school coaches in New Jersey.
He was entertaining you last night.
Yeah. See, Kansas leads this series. The last meeting a year ago, as we chronicled at the top for you, Nebraska with the Jamar Johnson three-pointer at the buzzer.
Steve Woodbury, I really feel, is the best sixth man in basketball. Inserted in the starting lineup to replace Hancock on Monday night. He was brilliant against Missouri.
Kansas controls the tip, and that's Woodbury, number 20. He's out of Wichita South High School in Kansas. And the turnover down on the baseline, and it will go over to the University of Nebraska.
You know, Nebraska got beat by 27 in their last game against Iowa State. It really was a blowout, big-time style. Last year, the same scene. Got beat by Missouri by 26. 2 days later, they come back and they beat number 3 in the nation, Kansas.
Two big differences in these teams. Kansas leads the nation and the Big 8 in field goal percentage at over 55%. Nebraska is at the bottom of the Big 8 as Johnson throws it up and count it.
Oh, wow, from Roy Williams. I get a little nervous when that baby goes down. A little showboating right there by Mr. Chandler.
Foul on Adonis Jordan.
Here goes Jamar Johnson. Played with Sean Kempen High School out of Concord High School. There's the head fake. Gets Jordan up in the air. Bounces around. Goes in. Little body English. And a little dance, little duck walk, Andre Rison style.
72% from the free throw line. Jamar Johnson
from Elkhart, Indiana.
Yeah, you mentioned that. Played with Sean Kemp in high school. Man, they had a couple of state championship finals at that high school.
Well, he got beat by Damon Bailey before 41,000 in the final. His senior year, his sophomore year, he got beat by, I believe it was Muncie Central.
Jamar Johnson, the junior, as Pauly gets it on the baseline turnaround. Eric Pauly has gotten that shooting touch back after a slump midseason.
He really has improved down inside, has that excellent touch, an improved player from last year.
What about Kansas defensively here, Dick?
Well, man-to-man defense, no secrets. They play head-to-head, pressure the basketball. Great tip by Piakowski. Got to block him out. He's a very active player.
Piakowski averaging over 15 points a game.
Man-to-man defense right now by Nebraska. Jamar Johnson, good matchup on Jordan.
Both of these teams will go 5 deep on the bench as Pauly receives it inside the block. Woodbury puts it up. Scott to follow.
Scott always has big games against Nebraska. In fact, his freshman year, he hit double figures 6 times. 3 of them came at the expense of Nebraska.
Piakowski sends it inside to Chandler.
Not much of a threat inside. Really doesn't have a touch. He's a shot blocker and a defensive player.
Last year led the Big 8, 91 block shots, but so far this year just 33 blocks for Chandler out of DeMatha High School in our nation's capital, as Chubbuck kind of looking to pass and throws it away. Here comes Jordan. 3-on-2 for Kansas. Scott home.
What a great play by Jordan. Good decision. Utilizes the bounce pass to all you young kids. Notice the bounce pass rather than the air pass. Great pass by Jordan to Scott.
6-4. Kansas leads it just underway. Jayhawks have had a lot of rest. Their last game was Monday night as Jordan knocks it away. And here comes Woodbury. 3-on-2 again. Pull-up pop in the lane. Won't go. And Badgett comes down with the rebound. Terrence Badgett, a redshirt freshman from Omaha, Nebraska South High School.
He's a slasher, a quick player, very active. Inserted in the starting lineup to make them big.
Piakowski from three-point land, and Woodbury, who does everything for you. He rebounds, he scores, he plays defense as Jordan kicks it to Walters, measures the 3, and will send it back to Woodbury on top. Now Jordan, three-point land, hits.
That was typical Kansas basketball, Roger. Make the extra pass. Good ball reversal, swing the ball side to side, always making the extra pass.
Kansas on a 7-0 run, and Dick, the thing about KU when you talk about their team game, they have 188 more assists than their opponents this year.
Well, they stress that constantly on practice. Roy Williams, a great believer in the team concept.
Piakowski on the baseline pull-up, in and out, won't go. Chandler, the offensive board, in.
That's where he can score. Inside, offensive rebound, get some garbage, uses great legs.
Chandler over 10 points a game, a junior college transfer a year ago from Alvin down in Texas, and it's 9-6.
Talk about Kansas execution, the passing game, the motion game.
Pauly the miss. Woodbury there, misses. Woodbury again. Scott keeps it alive, and Jamar Johnson will bring it up on the wing to Badgett. Takes it to the hole, and count it.
Count the basket, and they get it.
Fouls on Walters.
Badgett's got great speed in the open court. We saw that yesterday in practice. I thought they were going to count the goal and go up the other way in a makeup call. There goes Badgett. Is Walters there? They say he steps in. Walters a little slow coming over, gets there. He's up in the air when he comes over. Count the basket. Good call by Ron Zetcher.
And mass substitutions with 16:27 as Darren Hancock, 32, checks in. Patrick Ritchie also comes into the game for the University of Kansas. And Calvin Rayford, the smallest man on the court at 5'7", as Badgett trying to complete the three-point play and does.
Badgett put on about 20 pounds in that redshirt year. He's allowed to practice with the team.
Well, there's some confusion over there. They were trying to get a substitute in for Nebraska.
They stopped the action. You know, Roger, to clarify a point a little bit earlier on that charge, the defensive player has to be there prior to the offensive player getting up in the air. Good call by the official. He was up in the air when the defensive player rotated over. And look at the dapper down Roy Williams. He wants to charge. Danny Nee, I don't like his tie. Come on, Danny. I mean, he's got the ugliest tie in the business. I'm only teasing him.
Strickland is checked into the game. A freshman, 6'3", 200-pounder from Bellevue, Nebraska. One of those 3 triplets as the foul inside.
Everybody wanted Strickland. He was an explosive player on a high school level. Also doubles up, plays baseball. Plays right now with the Marlins team, goes in their minor league system. Danny Nee, what a great story. You talk about a guy that's had a tough life coming out of the streets in New York.
Coached under Digger Phelps at Notre Dame as an assistant. Went to Ohio University as a head coach, had 4 20-win seasons, and then to Nebraska as Woodbury comes out. Walters checks back in. Amos Gregory is also coming to the game for Nebraska. He's number 4. He committed the foul on Eric Pauley as Pauley will step to the free throw line. 6'10" senior out of Buena Park, California, and drops the first one. 12.3 points per game and better than 4 rebounds a contest.
Well, that's the one key about Kansas. You can't key on any player. They have such balance offensively.
Timeout on the floor, 16-16, as we're going to get a substitution, not a timeout at the moment, as Scott checks in now. So Richard Scott back in, full court pressure.
That's a trademark to Kansas. Try to force the turnover, trap on a basketball, full court, and rotate into solid man-to-man defense.
Chubbuck has started all 21 games so far this year for Nebraska.
He's a role player, Chubbuck. He's a real solid role player.
Gregory inside. Piakowski tips it. They're going to wave it off. He was over the top. The foul's going to be on Piakowski.
Eddie Hightower with the call. Piakowski's dad played in the CBA. ABA rather. Played over in, for example, he played over at Bowling Green out in the Mid-American Conference.
Yeah, spent 4 years in the ABA. Real hard worker, you mentioned, Dick. Real blue-collar kind of player.
Well, that's what his son is. His son is a real blue-collar guy. Hey, take a look right now. I think we might see some gimmick defense.
Kansas with Patrick Ritchie.
Looks like they're playing the guards man-to-man, playing a zone on the other 3 positions. A triangle inside and a man-to-man on the guards.
Ritchie thought about it from three-point land. Hancock will swing it back on top to Adonis George.
They're playing the guards man-to-man, Roger, and they're playing a zone with the other 3, forming a triangle.
Scott sends it back out to Walters. Turnaround, and Scott, who leads the Jayhawks, hitting 67% from the floor, usually from that range.
Well, he really knows what a good shot is. He knows his limitations. Not really what you would call a great shooter, despite the tremendous numbers, because everything's up in close.
13-9. Kansas leads it. There's Strickland. Dick mentioned Florida. Piakowski. Now they're going to call the offensive foul, and they didn't wave the basket off yet. Timeout on the floor, no signal on the basket. We'll be right back.
In 1895, Wilhelm Röntgen discovered X-rays. The following year, Siemens worked closely with him to develop its first X-ray tubes. That was then. This is now. Today, Siemens manufactures imaging technology that helps doctors save lives. And with 35,000 people nationwide, the men and women of Siemens will continue to manufacture ideas that even Professor Röntgen never dreamed of. Siemens, precision thinking.
Volvo just figured out how to lower the defense budget without threatening national security. Call for the dealer nearest you.
We've got a bit of an edge with the driver we have. We've got the best driver out there. So it's a matter of the mechanics just not overlooking anything. Al and I stay in constant communication during the race. I have to be aware of what he wants or needs, you know, at all times. I think the small details are is what makes the difference between winning and running second.
While the new administration may offer Americans a new lease on life, we can definitely offer you a new lease on a Volvo. Call for the dealer nearest you.
Olympic champion Krista Yamaguchi takes on pro skating's leading ladies. It's the Durasoft Colors World Challenge of Champions, Saturday on ABC's Wide World of Sports.
Kansas went on a 7-0 run, then Nebraska a 5-0 run, then Kansas a 4-0 run. 13-9, and that basket didn't count by Piakowski.
Well, we're going to see Piakowski trying to set him up for a backdoor cut. Watch number 52. Right here, he's trying to set up. Freeze it! See, right now, he's got the defensive player. He's playing boy you man, but he's got to look at the player, and he's got to watch the man. He doesn't see both. Piakowski sneaks behind him. There's the rotation over. Great job by Kansas rotating over and coming over and giving help on Piakowski to take the charge.
Second foul on Eric Piakowski, junior from Rapid City, South Dakota. Jerron Boone, 24. One of the triplets has checked into the game.
Well, his dad was Ron Boone, played 13 years in the NBA and the ABA.
Jordan misses the three, and here comes Nebraska. They trail by 4. Chubbuck, 44 on top, finds Boone down low, and they throw it away.
You know what they really do, Kansas? North Carolina has done this for years. They invite the backdoor cut, Roger. They really invite it and then anticipate and rotate over the help side to take the charge. And it really forces a lot of turnovers. You think you have it, but you don't. That is a half-court trap right now by Danny Nee. Oh, he falls back straight into the zone. Boone up on top. He's got good size, long arms. Boone, heavily recruited. Everybody wanted him.
Hancock on the baseline, tipped up by Scott, won't go, still tipped around, and Boone comes up with it.
How good was Boone? He visited North Carolina. Roy Williams told us, he said, I would have scholarshiped him.
Tyakowski trying to throw it over the top, and Chubbuck comes up with it. Inside, that's Amos Gregory, junior college All-American at Aquinas in Nashville, where he averaged 15 points and 14 rebounds a game, and he is a huge wide body. And want to remind you, next Sunday on ABC Sports, our Pizza Hut College basketball tips off with North Carolina and Georgia Tech, or some of you will see DePaul against Memphis State at 1:30 Eastern, 10:30 Pacific time here on ABC Sports. Then you've got more action coming up. Dick and I will be at Las Vegas for Louisville and UNLV. Some of you will see Oregon and UCLA, and Cal and Stanford. That's next Sunday here on the Pizza Hut College basketball doubleheader on ABC.
I can't wait to get down there in Vegas and see Rolly Massimino and J.R. Ryder. They have a big game tomorrow night, a revenge game with Long Beach State. And then they got beat by Pacific to show you now that the Big West really this year could be rated ahead of the Pac-10. I mean, there's some good teams in that Big West.
Amos Gregory originally came up here in summer school, but left school in the fall, had some personal tragedies. Brother got killed, came back and rolled back at school, was eligible second semester.
Wasn't able to start practice, though, until December 19th, and that really set him back. But he played on that junior college national championship team 2 years ago.
Pauly, and count it, the foul on Gregory.
I tell you, just great basketball by Kansas. Very unselfish, always giving that extra pass, always looking for the closer guy to the basket, the guy with the high percentage shot. Just great team play.
Eric Pauly didn't play basketball until his sophomore year in high school as Chandler checks back in the game. And Gregory sits down, and also coming in is Tom Best. Now, this is a young man, transferred from Toledo, led the MAC in rebounding 2 years ago.
But he's had a back problem.
Yeah, he had back surgery last March, and he had some back spasms. Dick missed the last 3 games as Pauly misses the free throw. Walters tries to dump it inside, and Best comes up with it.
Best is also an excellent long-range shooter. He can give a good perimeter threat.
That's Chandler, the turnaround shot. He was effective against Iowa State early in the game down there the other night. Scored 10 of the first 12 points for Nebraska's. Walters will give it to Jordan. 3-point land.
Just ran to a spot. Jordan just went to a spot. Look at a great
Walters
hustle.
Got it back to Scott, and Best takes away. That might have been basket interference right there.
Might have missed one. Best really, though, goes after the rebounds. There's the reversal man up on top. Best.
That's Boone. Hancock the rebound, still getting used to those goggles. This was the 4th different pair he's tried to wear. He had some eye surgery.
See, Kansas, by getting the early lead, has quieted the crowd. The crowd is a little bit quiet right now.
Chandler had that deflection, and this is Johnson. Going to take it all the way. Oh, that ball was up there, and Chandler knocked it away. Now here comes Jordan at the other end and in.
They really get the ball out on a missed shot or off the turnover. Kansas really gets it out to their high-powered guards. I love Adonis Jordan. He's got to be my choice for the Naismith Player of the Year in terms of 6 feet and under. He's 5'11", and they give that award out annually. Sammy Crawford will be running for New Mexico State.
Bad pass there. That's one thing I notice about Nebraska, Dick. I don't know if they passed the basketball that well for a college team that was ranked in the preseason in the top 25.
I think there's a reason for that, though, Roger. They're so young, and they rotate so many players, and it's very difficult to really develop the kind of consistent rhythm with the young freshmen that they play.
And a couple of those freshmen are coming in right now. Strickland checks back in 21, and also coming in Andre Woolridge from Benson High in Omaha, Nebraska. He was rated right behind Jason Kidd as one of the top point guards in the country.
Well, he had 50 points last year in a high school state championship Class A game. He's really struggled here thus far, though, at the big-time level, making the adjustment, trying to be a real legitimate point guard because he thinks score.
Greg Gurley has come in the game for Kansas. He wears number 33. Nebraska's stepped it up defensively here right now. That's Gurley.
You got to communicate and fight over those screens. They have such an excellent passing game and motion game, Kansas. You really got to play as a team, help out, rotate, close off driving angles.
Jayhawks lead it by 7 as the shot clock comes down to 5.
Good effort right now by Nebraska defensively.
Pauly on the baseline and the turnover.
That's an A+ right there defensively, half-court defense. Danny Nee's got to be mighty proud of the effort of those kids right there defensively.
And that got the crowd into it. We've got a timeout.
Sorry I dunked on you. Yo, Tommy. You got killed. Man, you thought you... Bring home the ball, Darryl.
Well, it's all come down to this. 60 million trillion fans are waiting for this one last play. You know what's going to Darryl Jenkins. He moves left, he moves right, he's double teamed, triple teamed, the whole team teamed. Whoa! Now the only thing between him and the basket is his big ugly brother Wesley. He gives him the old shake and bake. His mom and dad are jumping up and down. Boy, is his brother jealous. He looks at the clock. 4 seconds, 3, 2, he leaps, he shoots, and... He was fouled! He was fouled!
A reminder from Pizza Hut that it's also important to stop and dream.
This was not over yet.
State Farm tracks dangerous storms.
That helps State Farm agents like me deliver fast claim service. You see, before a catastrophic storm can threaten your home, our national coordinators are tracking that storm and sending in special disaster claims crews. Our local claims people are already gearing up. A hurricane or a kitchen fire, State Farm moves fast. It's a big reason we insure more homes than anyone else.
State Farm is there.
Hey, I'm Ed McCaffrey. I play wide receiver with the New York Giants. Come watch me and the other good dunkers here at halftime, Footlocker Slam Fest.
Kansas has been on an 8-1 run the last 4.5 minutes. And want to remind you, Saturday on ABC Sports, the world's best bowlers head to St. Louis for the PBA Hall of Fame Championship. Then ABC's Wide World of Sports features Olympic gold medalist Kristi Yamaguchi in the ladies competition of the Durasoft Colors World Challenge of Champions. Plus coverage of the World Alpine Skiing Championships continues. It's all Saturday right here on ABC Sports. Roger Twyble, Dick Vitale with you from Lincoln, Nebraska. Kansas leads at 17-10. Piakowski, three-point land hits it.
They need that big three out of Piakowski. He really was down on his teammates at that game at Iowa State. He said everything was me, me, me. Everybody just played one-on-one basketball. He said we can't win. We got to play as a team.
Ritchie underneath, and the foul's going to be on Best, number 33. That will be the first foul on Best. 14,679 the attendance today, the biggest crowd this year here at the Devaney Center. And Dick, I wanted to ask you about the Nebraska team. Danny Nee's playing 10 players over 15 minutes a game on an average. Can you do that?
Well, I think what he's trying to do is get some experience and playing time, especially early in the season. The minutes really piled up for the young freshman. I think as he goes down a stretch now, he'll start to reduce those minutes. But he's trying to give them the experience. He lost some key players from last year in Owens and Hayes. And this year, he really brought in these 3 heavily recruited players. And you find out some of the liabilities. They dominate on a high school level. But this is a different world, Roger. Strickland had the big game, though, against Missouri, the freshman, 28 points in that overtime win. Number 21, there he is with the rock.
That's Best from outside. Mentioned he missed the last 3 games with back spasms, and he's a key part for him. He's a good rebounder, good outside shooter. As the ball goes out of bounds off Nebraska, they trail Kansas by 6 with 11:15 to go first half.
Very difficult to win on the road in many of the conferences, but in particular in the Big 8. Kansas has been able to get some big wins on the road. Winning at Oklahoma, coming back and beating a good Kansas State team.
They had to come from behind to beat Oklahoma. They had to come from behind to beat Kansas State. They had a tough game at Colorado for the first half as Pauly takes it inside, misses it. And the rebound brought down by number 32, the freshman, Andre Woolridge.
Woolridge, that big scorer, has got to work on his left hand. Everything he does is goes right, right, right.
Kansas out rebounding Nebraska 14-8 so far in this game. That's Strickland, also a baseball player for the Florida Marlins.
It's an outfielder.
Yeah. Chandler inside, good position there, and count it, the foul's going to be on Pauly.
He wants to always showboat after a score. He's just got to stay and play some basketball and forget about doing all the dance routines, baby. John Travolta, he doesn't have to be, or Ben Vereen. Now, right now, they're going to swing the ball in. Chandler begging for the ball. They throw it over the top. They get it over Paulie. Now he goes up and score. And now he wants to make like a little dance routine. Look at him. Now watch this. Oh, no, we don't go too far. But he was going into his little disco routine.
Chandler hurt his ankle earlier this year, missed a couple of games. You can see from the free throw line just 58% there.
He committed out of high school when he was at DeMatha to North Carolina State. So our buddy Jimmy Valvano
ended up going to junior college in Texas as Walters finds Woodbury and draws the foul going in on Best. So Best has picked up a couple of fouls. And coming up at halftime is the Naismith Nominee of the Week. That'll be halftime here on ABC Sports. So Best picks up his second foul. Best is 6'8", 235 from South Holland, Illinois. We mentioned went to Toledo out of high school. Interesting story. His coach at Toledo, Jay Eck, got fired and called up Danny Nee and said he'd like to transfer.
Well, Jay Eck was a good friend of Danny's. They knew each other really well, especially through the recruiting wars. And through that contact, he wanted to go to a new environment. Came here. They're really excited having him.
Woodbury at the free throw line, 87% as Woolridge goes and sits down on the side.
See, Woolridge has a lot of fans from down in Omaha who come down and follow him. And they look at his exploits in high school and they expect him to be an instant star. But he really has to show that he can play a complete game defensively, offensively, make the pass. And until he can do that, he's not going to get the kind of playing time that he desires.
Kansas has signed a youngster, went to high school with him at Wichita South, B.J. Williams, 6'8".
They also got a kid by the name of Pollard from out of the state of Washington, originally from California at 6'11", who everybody loves. And Jock Vaughn, everyone knows about him, one of the top 5. He's from out of Muir High School, same school as Stacey Augment from Pasadena, California.
Chandler on the baseline and hits it. So Chandler has got 5 points, and it's a 3-point game. KU leads it with just over 10 minutes to go first half.
And who said that he can't score? The scouting report is really weak there.
Ostertag inside for his first 2.
I really like the big fella. If he really gets a little meaner attitude and really a little bit hungrier, he can be a special player, a very key player coming off the bench for Kansas because they need size.
Ostertag, 7'2", 270 pounds. He's a sophomore from Duncanville, Texas. And Dick, you know, Will Chamberlain played at Kansas, but this guy's the biggest man ever to play at Kansas.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's no way he's as strong as Big Will still.
No.
Hey, Roger, you're a Jayhawk, 72 graduate of Kansas. I'll tell you what, they made me a lifetime Jayhawk down there last Monday at a luncheon.
Well,
yeah.
Dick, as I like to say in the Big 8 confines, I'm a basketball fan first, I'm a Big 8 fan second, and then I graduated from Kansas.
You're a member of the all-Pine team.
Scott with the steal there, and Jordan maintained his balance. No violation.
Ostertag trying to seal off inside.
23-18, 5-point lead for Kansas as Walters takes an off-balance shot. Won't go. Chandler rips it away.
Very rare do you see them take such a bad shot. That was really a poor shot right there by Walters. Chandler's strength is rebounding, blocking shots on the inside.
He's thinking offense now, Dick, and they call the offensive foul on him.
He's very limited offensively because of the hands. Really has a little tough time catching the basketball down in deep.
And while Danny complains about the officiating, we'll tell you Ed Hightower, Ron Zetker, and Denny Friend are the officiating crew today.
Great story on how he got the job, Danny Nee. He thought he was going to go to Wichita State, but they went for us. We see Michigan with the big win. Robinson versus Weber. Michigan gets the W. Ooh, look at this. Charlotte beats Tulane. That's their first loss in the conference.
South Alabama over Jacksonville, and Wake Forest leading Temple. The turnover. And Kansas with 3 turnovers, Nebraska with 4.
Danny Nee finally got involved with Colorado when he got involved with Nebraska. Bob Devaney met him. He said he drew out the contract on a paper napkin. He said it was all done on a paper napkin. You talk about a great football coach. What Bob Devaney did here is just one of the great stories.
Strickland has come back into the game. That's Badge at 43. They found Chandler. They keep going to him. And the foul's going to be on Scott as he sent Chubbuck flying. First foul on Richard Scott.
Fans were lined up here really early to try and get in downstairs. There's the entry to 45-degree angle. Really doesn't have a great touch. You notice that? That's Brick City, USA right there. You can build a lot of buildings off those kind of shots.
And Dick, you ought to know about that. You've thrown a few bricks up in your day.
Wait a minute.
Like before the game today.
Was I on fire?
No. Chubbuck leaning inside, and they're going to call the foul on Scott over the top.
They're really doing a good job, Nebraska, moving the basketball, jamming it inside, trying to take the ball in for the high percentage shot. Really trying to play Roy Williams basketball. What a job he did. In fact, if he was coach of the year, as you mentioned earlier, then Bob Frederick, the athletic director, has to be an athletic director of the year for having the guts to hire a guy that didn't have a win. He was an assistant coach for 10 years, but yet he had the guts to hire someone when he had a stack of resumes of guys who had proven track records.
That's the third foul on Scott. We got a correction from the official score. Chubbuck hits the first one. Take a look at Bruce Chubbuck, 6'7", 215, a junior from Atkinson, Nebraska. Danny's been able to successfully recruit in-state, and especially this past year, getting those two outstanding freshmen, Strickland and Woolridge, and then Boone, who had grown up here in Nebraska, as Richie looks to tag inside, and the rebound by Chandler.
Chandler doing a good job on a glass inside. Chubbuck was a sixth man, but he really earned the right to be a starter. Good shooter, shoots about 59%.
Well, he's been their most consistent player this year, as the foul is going to be inside on Ostertag.
Chubbuck with the basketball now, looking to the inside. There he is, dumping the ball down inside. Ostertag over the top. 7-footer from out of Duncanville, Texas.
Chandler's the only senior on the Nebraska roster.
Yeah, they really, you look at their young people, they have so many young, good perimeter people. Returning Hayakowski and the three freshmen we talked about, Boone, Woolridge, and Strickland. If they can get their hands on a real dynamite big player, this team can be special in a Big 8.
And Chandler has hit all three of his free throws. He's got 7 points, and it's a 2-point ball game, 23-21.
Well, every year this game is a wire-to-wire game. It's always a game with a lot of excitement. And remember this, big for Nebraska. They need a W to stay in the hunt for a postseason berth.
They haven't beaten a ranked team this year as Ostertag jump hook and a good one.
I'll tell you, I like the big fella. I think he's getting better and better. And he missed 4 weeks with a foot injury.
Had a stress fracture in his leg.
If they reverse the ball, they would have Chandler for a layup.
Badgett, known for his defense, redshirted a year, put on about 20 pounds.
He's a slasher. He's a very quick player. Limited with his ball handling skills and his passing ability.
Strickland gets it into Chandler. He's just thinking offense right now, and sometimes you get a little too confident and you start throwing those air balls. Richie leans in the lane and got a little help because the Nebraska man Badgett, I think, just got a piece of it going by.
Patrick Richie is really a pretty good shooter. He's got an excellent shot.
Badgett misses, Richie the rebound, and Walters will bring it down. 6-point Kansas lead, so Nebraska got within 2, and Kansas has scored 4 straight.
It's nice having a guy like Richie come off the bench.
3-pointer won't go, and Chandler has the rebound.
Walters has really been quiet thus far in the first half.
Dick, he struggled with his shot this year, and he's a tireless worker. At times after a game, if he hasn't done well, he'll go to Allen Fieldhouse and just shoot, continue to shoot, and he keeps working at it. Just hasn't found that touch this year like he's had last year. And Chandler, once again, I'll tell you, that's a dark hole. You send it into him, you're never seeing it again.
Well, I'll tell you right now, he's really not the guy you want to consistently score the ball.
And it's the offensive foul.
Good job by Nebraska getting back defensively. Rex Walters has had some big games, though, too, Roger. I've had him in some games where he's been super. When they blew out Louisville, he was absolutely sensational.
And he is shooting 50% on the air, but he feels there's a lot of room for improvement.
It's amazing how it grew and grew. That little company you started in your garage. And now you've got an automobile whose drive for quality matches your own. The Buick Park Avenue Ultra. With its supercharged engine, the Park Avenue Ultra is proof you still take pride in what comes out of your garage.
Hey, I'm vain. Of course I'm vain. That's why I comb my hair the way I do. I stay in shape the way I do. That's why I use Power Stick.
50% more wetness and odor fighters per stroke. Power Stick by Fabergé. Power that won't let you down.
I told you I was vain.
Why do I choose Alka-Seltzer Plus over the leading cold pill?
They only relieve congestion, but Alka-Seltzer Plus is so tough it relieves sore throats, sneezing, headaches, even body aches.
That's why I choose Alka-Seltzer Plus.
Alka-Seltzer Plus. It's tough medicine.
Wouldn't it be great if you could afford a luxurious mansion? For you and all your friends? Of course the place needed some updates, like a bowling alley and a pool table. Naturally, it'd have an open house.
Food's here!
With beer!
Harold, do something!
Icy, cold-filtered Keystone, Keystone Light, and Keystone Dry. Bottle beer taste in a can. Now, wouldn't that be great?
The North Carolina Tar Heels meet Georgia Tech. Or DePaul invades Memphis State to tip off a regional doubleheader next Sunday on ABC Sports.
Kansas leads it by 6 with 6:50 to go first half here in Lincoln. And Rex Walters, born in Omaha, Nebraska.
There he
was in the service.
Transition game right now to Jordan. Good job defensively by Johnson. He beats Jordan to the spot. He's got both feet stationary, faces up. Great defensive transition to take the layup away.
Coming up at halftime, Footlocker Slam Fest. Eric McMillan and Anthony Miller against Ed McCaffrey, and then Brian Cox. They'll be matched up. And Piakowski with 7.
He plays all over the floor. Really hustles defensively. He's a scrapper.
Richie the miss and the rebound by Chubbuck inside. Chubbuck averaging over 6 rebounds a game as Johnson kicks it to Piakowski inside off the glass. The follow won't go. Still batted around. And it'll be Kansas basketball.
What they did is by inserting Piakowski and rotating him to the backcourt with Johnson, they've become a bigger team, putting Magic in the starting lineup along the baseline.
27-23. That's Calvin Rayford, who's checked into the game right now. Number 10 from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, a sophomore.
Yes, superb quickness. He's really a backup to Jordan. He challenges him every day in practice.
Inside is Woodbury.
I love Woodbury. I'll tell you what, he can play for me any day, Roger. Play 3 positions on the floor. Very versatile.
John Pearson has also checked in for Kansas. He's number 21, guarding Boone right there.
Steps slow, but he's got good range as a shooter.
Got a good stroke from three-point land. That's Amos Gregory. I'll tell you, Tom Osborne might want to look at him as a football player. Boone, he's a slashing kind of player. Dick, Skyline High. Oh, yeah, they do. Nebraska, you better believe it. Not as well as some people would like him to the past few years as Piakowski hits another.
He shows his ability to go inside, outside. Piakowski rotates down to the baseline. He's a very interchangeable player.
29-25. Jayhawks lead it by 4.
I'll tell you, basketball at Big 8 has come so far in the last 5 years, and many people feel it's because of the coaching changes, bringing guys like Nee and Williams.
That's Pearson, and he's got called for the traveling. I was going to ask you about if you rate the coaches from conferences, Dick. The Big 8's had the same coaches now for 3 consecutive years going into the 4th year. How would you rate the Big 8 coaches against coaches from other conferences around the country?
Well, I think anytime you talk to major conferences, you really have outstanding leaders there. You really do, Roger. You can't get the jobs those guys get without being really solid leaders. And what's happening, the jobs are becoming exciting in the Big 8, and these guys are not going anywhere. They're staying.
Chubbuck on the floor, surrounded by Jayhawks and the little man, Calvin Rayford.
He's got great quickness. They make it tough for a guy to leave. They got all kinds of shows. They got radio shows, TV shows, summer camps.
Well, in Lincoln, Nebraska is the biggest city of all the Big 8 cities with around 200,000 people. And you are king in the state here in Nebraska because there are no professional teams. So Danny Nee is on the verge of really breaking through and taking this program to the next level.
Multiple defenses, too. Now he's inserted the zone. Started out in a 1-1-3. Now it's a 2-3. His one major problem, though, is there's not a whole lot of great players in this state like there are in some other areas of the country.
Chubbuck got the deflection, and Nebraska will bring it down.
This is a kid they expect a lot from. This kid Boone right here, Ron Boone's son.
Jamar Johnson won't go. Their shooting woes continue. Chubbuck, I'll tell you, Pearson had a hand on him, and they called him for traveling.
Chubbuck really works hard. I mean, you talk about a guy that really gives you what a coach talks about, giving that supreme effort. He does it.
Derek Chandler will check back into the game, and Gregory will have a seat.
Johnson, you know, had some big games in the past, but really struggling, as you said, up and down this year. He was runner-up to Damon Bailey for Mr. Basketball in Indiana, and he played on those 2 teams at Elkhart and went to the finals his senior year and his sophomore year, along with Sean Kemp when he was a sophomore.
Pauly trying to work the baseline, loses it. Woodbury gets it in. I'll tell you, Steve Woodbury
You can't keep him on a bench, Roger.
And he's got such a great attitude. You know what he says? I don't care if I start, because I look at the end of the game, how many minutes I played, and if we won. If that's the case, then I'm fine.
I'll tell you one thing, he'll also be there when the game's on the end of the line, the last 4 minutes.
Boone, the leaner.
Jerron Boone, remember the name, people. He's going to be a special player here at Nebraska. He's got great attitude, tremendous work ethic. He's got good size, touch. I love watching him yesterday at practice.
First 2 points for Boone. 31-27, 4-point Kansas lead with just over 3 to go.
Playing that zone defense, 2-3. Look at Boone, very active, quick hands. Whit Majerus didn't like to see him leave the state of Utah, I'll tell you that.
Woodbury for 3 hits. Steve Woodbury.
He answers the call. This guy's a PTPer, baby. He's a primetime performer. Steve Woodbury, the best 6th man in college basketball.
Hitting over 40% of his 3-point attempts, and it's 34-27.
Notice how they overplay on the wings, pressure the basketball, 3 elements in their defense, pressure the ball, deny on the wings, and help in the lane.
Nebraska has a real perimeter game. I mean, going inside to Chandler is about their 4th or 5th option.
Yeah,
as they go to him right there, and Paulie's got a hold of him from behind.
Oh, he has to go to the free throw line and convert him here. But he's a role player. We use that term role player when you talk about Chandler. His role is to close off the lane defensively, block shots, and rebound, and he does that well.
You know, it's interesting. When Chandler, you mentioned, originally signed at North Carolina State, then went to junior college and didn't really know where he wanted to go to school. And Stu Jackson at the time was a coach of the Knicks. And Stu was talking in a clinic, and Chandler heard him talking about the fact that if you want to play in the NBA, you got to be strong. So when Danny Nee was sending him recruiting material, the beautiful weight facility here at Nebraska. And he says, you know, if I go to Nebraska and lift weights and get strong, maybe I can play in the NBA someday. So that was his motivation. As you can see, he's probably lifted more weights than he shoots free throws for that shot right there off the front of the iron.
Well, that story, to make it complete, he was visiting his teammate in high school, Gerard Mustafa, who was playing for the Knicks at that time. They played together at DeMatha High School.
Walters off the glass and in.
Nice clear out for Rex Walters. A lot of pro scouts like him, Roger. They really do. He averaged 17 a game in the Big Ten when he played for Northwestern.
His first 2 points today, 36-27, 9-point lead, the biggest lead. As Best tries to take it up, Ritchie strips it loose. And Nebraska now with less than 2 to go will find Piakowski outside. Chandler the offensive board, and in.
Chandler doing a good job rebounding. This next minute 40 is big. You don't want to go down double figures into that locker room. Psychologically, that's really a big blow if you're Nebraska.
Chandler's got 11.
He's showing he can score today. Down inside.
Jordan, look at him, just go by Johnson and in.
Well, they're clearing out. What they did the last 2 possessions, they rotated and swung the ball and cleared out and got one-on-ones for Walters and now a one-on-one for Jordan.
They try to go inside and Ostertag over the top.
Hey, I'll tell you about Jordan. He played this summer. How's this for a team? He played in the summer league in L.A. He played along with Chris Mills. He played along with A.C. Earl, Everett Gray from UNLV, Lorenzo Orr from USC, Sean Tarver, Cleveland Jackson. They had one heck of a team, and they were coached by a Nebraska grad who played here for the late Joe Cipriano, who was a beautiful guy, a real fiery guy. Nate Seabrook was his coach.
You see Ostertag lost a few of the front teeth there. It wasn't a basketball game, it was on a water slide.
He's really a fun-loving kid. You watch him bounce around. I was teasing Roy Williams about him. I said, Roy, there's a tendency that Mr. Ostertag every now and then wants to act about 5 years old. He says every now and then you'll need like 24 hours a day. Yeah. And he meant that in a positive and affectionate way. He's just a beautiful guy. I love talking to him before the game, but he's just got to get meaner. He to be a special player.
13 points for Chandler. We got a timeout on the floor.
Hello, Pizza Hut. Yeah, we've got the Steak Lovers Pizza.
Yes, we are the home of the Steak Lovers Pizza.
Strips of steak and a delicious sauce.
Steak Lovers, yes.
It's got onions and 3 kinds of cheese.
Domino's. No, don't have it.
No steak, no lovers, no nothing like that. We're Domino's.
Yes, we have Steak Lovers Pizza.
Yes.
No.
Yes, we'll deliver it right away.
If you want a Steak Lovers Pizza, there's only one place to get it.
Yes, we have it.
Yes. No siree Buffsky.
Yes. Yes.
Pizza Hut. Sometimes you gotta stop and smell the pizza.
At BASF, we don't make the meal, we make it healthier. We don't make the lotion, we make it smoother. We don't make the dress, we make it brighter. We don't make the carpet, we make it tougher. At BASF, we don't make a lot of the products you buy, we make a lot of the products you buy better. BASF.
Thank you. To all of you attracted by Buick's reputation for quality, but who think a new Buick is beyond your means, may I make the following suggestion? Go see the new Buick Skylark Custom. It is every bit a quality Buick. And as the most affordable Buick for 1993, it makes Buick quality more attractive than ever.
This ABC Sports Raycom telecast is being brought to you by Keystone, Keystone Light, and Keystone Drive. By Siemens, for leading-edge technologies in electronic and electrical engineering depend on Siemens precision thinking. And by Pizza Hut. Sometimes you gotta stop and smell the pizza.
Roger Twyville, Big Bites Al back with you. 38-31, 120 left to go first half. Kansas leads it by 7.
They need to stop right here defensively.
Ostertag was wide open, finally got him the basketball, and Ostertag's got 6.
I'll tell you, he shows some mobility. There's no doubt he's got an excellent touch for a big fella, but he's also starting to show some mobility inside, Roger.
9-point lead. That's the biggest lead for the Kansas Jayhawks. Looking to stop a losing streak of 2 here in Lincoln, as the three-pointer from the corner won't go by Strickland. The rebound loose now on the floor. Woodbury finally throws it up in the air, and Ostertag gets it to Walters as Hancock will send it back to Woodbury.
They do such a great job at spacing Kansas. They really do an excellent job getting 15 feet apart, so it's very difficult to really give a lot of help against them defensively.
30 and 27 on the respective clocks.
They really put on a coach's clinic in terms of the way they perform half-court offensively, out of their transition game, and the way they play defense. Certainly all year long they'll be one of the top 5 teams in America.
That's Hancock. Slips there on the baseline. Ball goes off the side of the backboard. And Piakowski, 9 seconds. He'll take it inside off the glass. Ostertag gets it. Rayford trying to get it up in a silly foul right there by Eric Strickland, the freshman from Bellevue, Nebraska.
See a freshman right there making that kind of mistake. That's where a coach now has got to bring him over, talk to him a little bit about it, because that's really a no-no right now. You allow them psychologically, they can get into the double-figure lead going into that locker room, Kansas.
Well, Strickland was the '92 Nebraska High School Athlete of the Year, first-team All-State in football, basketball, and baseball. Well, just like you, an all-around athlete.
Well, I'll tell you, some people said he could be a great defensive back.
Rayford misses the free throw.
They get a shot.
Piakowski throwing it all the way down off the glass, won't go, and we reach halftime here in Lincoln. The Kansas Jayhawks lead Nebraska 40-31. We'll return to ABC's college basketball after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Tony and Diane get regular insurance checkups, just like they get regular medical checkups. I'm State Farm Agent Carlos Bermudez. I have been their State Farm agent 7 years. A family insurance checkup helps them make sure all their coverages are up to date. It's also a good time to explore options, like how their life insurance plan can be adapted to help with their daughter's college education. I think the family insurance checkup is something everybody can feel good about.
State Farm is there.
We've got a bit of an edge with the driver we have. We've got the best driver out there. So it's a matter of the mechanics just not overlooking anything. Al and I stay in constant communication during the race. I have to be aware of what he wants or needs, you know, at all times. I think the small details are is what makes the difference between winning and running second.
Wouldn't it be great if you could afford a luxurious mansion? For you and all your friends? Of course, the place needed some updates, like a bowling alley and a pool table. Naturally, you'd have an open house.
Food's here!
With beer!
Harold, do something!
Icy, cold-filtered Keystone, Keystone Light, and Keystone Dry. Bottle beer taste in a can. Now, wouldn't that be great?
Tonight,
Yabba-dabba-doo!
you grew up loving them.
Ah, now they've grown up too.
Bam Bam and I are getting married.
It's a wedding for the whole family to watch. An all-new Flintstone movie, I Yabba Dabba Doo, tonight at 7, 6 Central.
You've seen him dance. You've heard him sing. Now, hear him talk live. That's dangerous.
The King of Pop talks to Oprah live Wednesday.
There are times, Andy said, when it's best to play it safe.
Here for the swamp tour?
Especially when on safari in the Everglades. 14,000 square miles of alligators, snakes, and frogs that bite. So Andy suggested the great-tasting Old Milwaukee non-alcoholic. It's got to get better than this, I said, as Gil, our guide, took us butt bruising for the day. Good thing for a cold Old Mill NA, there's enough exhilaration already in the Everglades. And hey, you don't want to end up as gator bait.
She's a blue-eyed blonde with a black Cadillac, deep dish chrome and her hair tied back. On the seat next to her is the Taco Bell sack, burritos from Taco Bell. Chicken burritos made to please, roasted chicken and cheddar cheese. Delicious chilitos with chili and cheddar, bean burritos with cheese never tasted better. A bright red sweater and a smile on her face, her eyes light up with every taste. Burritos from Taco Bell, round for the border.
Ross Jernstrom, tonight at 10 on News Watch 7.
Welcome back once again to opening round coverage of the Footlocker Slam Fest from Arizona State University. John Saunders along with Dick Vitale. The opening round is complete, and in the quarterfinals, Kenny Lofton will face Barry Sanders. Michael Powell will face Bob Samuelson. That in one half of the draw. In Group B, the opening round gets underway, dominated by football players, including Mike Conley and Roger Kingdom from the world of track and field. And we'll start with a couple of football players. Eric McMillan from the New York Jets, Anthony Miller from the San Diego Chargers.
Eric McMillan, really a veteran of the Slam Fest. In 1991, he was absolutely sensational. We take a look at him here in a pass. There he is now, flipping it up. Great timing. One thing about him, great intensity. He really focuses on this competition.
He did go to the finals that year, and a guy who was going to the end zone quite a bit, Anthony Miller.
He had 72 receptions last year, John. Averaged 14 yards per catch.
But this is a totally different competition. So Eric McMillan ready to get things underway from the corner of the baseline.
Look at his eyes. Really focuses. Has great concentration. There is the great timing dunk. He loves that dunk at the baseline.
Fiancée Roxanne and his daughter Siobhan looking on.
This takes a lot of concentration. He loves this dunk. He's used it in the past. He dumps it to the floor. There's the great legs, the high riser, the jam. He has that quick bounce off the floor.
Anthony Miller now will look on and see what he has to beat. It's a 9.1, and that's going to be tough to beat for his first time.
I'll tell you one thing. These judges have been absolutely murder on all the contestants. Anthony Miller, there he is, flying through the air. Oh, he bricks it. He didn't pick too many in terms of catching the football this year.
You might see the mouthpiece Eric McMillan wears. A few years back when he was in high school and dunking, he caught his teeth in the net.
I'll tell you something else about him. His dad was an all-pro, Ernie, years ago as he comes up with an 8-9, and he used to sneak into Cardinal practices and hide behind our own Dan Dierdorf.
Smile there as he feels he's in command. Miller needs the 9.2 to advance to the quarterfinal.
Here's the dunk bounce, one hand, little simple dunk. If I were judging right now, no way, baby. No way, not enough. Too simple.
And I think Anthony Miller knows it as well. 8.5, not even close.
Don, I got to give him, though, an A+ for a super effort. He's only 5'11".
Eric McMillan advances to face the winner of our next matchup. Two more football players, Ed McCaffrey and Brian Cox.
Hey, when I was coming up, I walked 15 miles in the snow every day to practice.
There were no locker rooms. The balls had laces, and the shoes were made of canvas.
What's canvas?
And there were no Footlockers.
No Footlockers.
No Footlocker.
Whoa, you guys had it rough.
Nobody's got more basketball shoes or more experience selling basketball shoes than Footlocker, where it all begins.
You guys have commercials, right?
Cold, yeah, no heat.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119
At my age, I do everything I can to stay competitive. I run, I lift, I hit the bike, I lace and unlace my cross-training shoes. There was a time when I didn't have to work this hard to stay in shape. But hey, I'm not 40 anymore.
So, I was gonna hit the Footlocker for the new Nike Air Maestros, but then I thought, how much do I know about these kicks? So I called famous point guard John Stockton and asked him to demo them for me. Then I hear only Footlockers got the Nike Fight 89s, so I get old John on the horn again. So, for new Nikes, you know what to do.
Just go to Footlocker. The new Nike basketball shoes at Footlocker, where it all begins.
John, is that you?
Hey, I'm vain. Of course I'm vain. That's why I comb my hair the way I do. I stay in shape the way I do. That's why I use Power Stick.
50% more wetness and odor fighters per stroke. Power Stick by Fabergé. Power that won't let you down.
I told you I was vain.
Alka-Seltzer Plus Nighttime. For relief without alcohol. Hit the box, not the bottle.
Saturday, ABC Sports stacks the deck with Queens of the Ice, Kings of the Hill, Aces on Skis, and Maniacs on the Mountains. First bowling's best take aim at the PBA Hall of Fame Championship. Then on ABC's Wide World of Sports, figure skating's leading ladies compete. Olympic gold medalist Kristi Yamaguchi headlines the field at the Durasoft Colors World Challenge of Champions. Plus, skiing's best continue their quest for gold, and snowboarding goes extreme. It's all Saturday on ABC Sports.
Welcome back, John Saunders and Dick Vitale. And Dick, a look at a very esteemed panel of judges.
I'd love to coach that group. Best little man ever to play the game, Calvin Merton.
And here's a look at the panel of judges, including the Chief Judge, Wilt Chamberlain. His vote only counts as a tiebreaker. The other group of judges voting from 1 to 10, their scores are averaged out. Ed McCaffrey will face Brian Cox.
Ed McCaffrey had a big year, John. Led the Giants in receiving this year. He was a Stanford All-American. He wants to go to medical school after his days of playing football.
Has a little basketball in his family as well, Dick.
Well, his brother Billy, tremendous player. Billy was a star with Duke before transferring to Vanderbilt, where Vandy's having a great year.
Brian Cox of the Miami Dolphins was voted to the Pro Bowl this season.
John, this competition between McCaffrey and Cox really tested the tie-breaking system and really put pressure on Mr. Chamberlain.
McCaffrey out of the gate with an 8.9 with a little razzle-dazzle early.
Well, he has really got basketball experience. There he is with the bounce off the glass, the catch, and the jam.
Brian Cox, no score on his first attempt as he loses it on the back iron.
John, though, after a dress rehearsal, now he cuffs it up and away, and he gets this, baby!
8.9. McCaffrey trying to top that number with a difficult move.
Well, that's a move that was utilized by Kenny Smith in the NBA slam dunk competition.
Woody Harrelson would be proud, but we had to go to the tiebreaker.
I moved over now. I'm gonna get more.
What do you look in a tie-breaking situation? What do you look for?
Well, actually, I put my score down before it's a tie. See, my score doesn't count, but my score of 9-1 was down for Cox before. So when it was an 8-9, by them as a tie, my 9-1 score goes up.
Wilt Chamberlain breaks the tie by scoring Cox higher. He'll face Eric McMillan. And coming up next week, 3-time champion Mike Conley faces Roger Kingdom, and Seth Joyner up against Andre Rison.
Who's more famous, Footlocker or L.A.?
Footlocker's pretty famous.
L.A.'s got all these stars.
Footlocker has all these styles.
I go to Footlocker. It's like having a personal trainer for my feet.
Footlocker. Why go anywhere else? Footlocker was here first. I walk into Footlocker, and they treat me right.
I needed a 3-picture deal, percentage of the gross. Oh, new cross trainers. The guy in stripes just goes.
What size?
You can go far in L.A.
I did.
So who's more famous? Footlocker! Wear it, I'll begin.
Who's bigger, Footlocker or Texas?
Texas has all those miles.
Footlocker has all these styles. I walk in a Footlocker, and they treat me right.
They really treat me like a queen.
So I want a shoe is good for basketball as for a barbecue. The guy at Footlocker says, what size?
Why go anywhere else? Footlocker.
Footlocker was here first.
Don't mess with Texas.
Don't mess with Footlocker.
Yeah, I go to Footlocker. It's like having a personal trainer for my feet.
So there you have it. The big story in Texas is Footlocker, where it all begins.
In a big way.
Why is LeSabre the best-selling full-size sedan in America? It's simple. Because it's built like a Buick. And Buick has become an enormous symbol for quality in America.
One of the worst fires in American history. Meet the people who lived it.
I just lost my house!
And the heroes who stopped it.
We need a miracle.
Jill Clayburgh, Michael Gross, and LeVar Burton. Firestorm, Sunday.
Your biological mother and father want you back.
He won't go.
He struck a blow for children everywhere.
He's gonna go where I tell him to go.
And it made him a hero.
You'll have to pay attention to me.
Based on the true story of the boy who divorced his parents, Gregory K. Monday.
Six wheels, a dish on top, 2 weeks, and a Winnebago we go. Friends since the 2nd grade. Products of Altoona, PA. That's me, Jack, the Butch Cassidy of the Poconos. Big boots, big dog, big ideas. That's Andy, Mr. L.A. now. Mr. Poolside in Ray-Ban shades. You can't see America by plane, I say.
$5.
You gotta go out and feel the dirt. So like Lewis and Clark, Stanley and Livingston, Thelma and Louise, we took off for the great outdoors. It doesn't get any better than this, was Andy's refrain. Wide open spaces, new friends and faces. A sunset you won't find in L.A. And my thanks to a ranger named Beverly, who assured us bears don't like beer.
Brutus, go!
But to Andy, survival here is the same as L.A. You keep a cold supply of the old mill on hand, and you never travel out of range of a pizzeria that delivers anywhere. As Andy says, it doesn't get any better than this.
Which car outsells Saturn, Geo, and every other car in its class?
That's easy. Ford Escort.
Which car has more repeat buyers than Mazda, Toyota?
And every other car in its class? Ford Escort.
Which car has fewer reported problems than both Honda and Nissan?
Ford Escort. They're built right the first time.
Now Escort's easier to drive. 4 models, 1 low payment. Just $199 a month for 24 months. See your local Ford dealer today.
Escort's the best car we've ever owned.
Equal justice? Find out beginning Tuesday on Newswatch 7 at 10.
We lost a colleague here at ABC Sports, and the world lost a great man with the passing of Arthur Ashe. For all of us here at ABC Sports, we'd like to send our condolences to the Arthur Ashe family. He was a great champion, but better than that, he was a great human being.
The Naismith Award nominee of the week is Calvert Chaney of Indiana. The Hoosiers' smooth senior forward will most likely finish his career as the Big Ten's all-time leading scorer. Congratulations to Calvert Chaney for being the Naismith Award nominee of the week, presented by Newprint.
And we're back here at the Bob Devaney Sports Center on the campus of the University of Nebraska in Lincoln. Roger Twibell, Dick Vitale, the Jayhawks lead it 40-31. And, you know, Dick, it's simply Nebraska continues to struggle shooting the basketball, just 37% in the first half.
Well, you're not going to beat Kansas unless you execute really well and shoot in the 50 percentile area. You're not going to beat them with those kind of statistics. And you look at the numbers right there, Kansas shooting 50%. They normally go about 55% out of their offensive execution, very similar to the Indianas, the Dukes, and also North Carolinas. They do a great job of getting the high percentage shot.
Chandler, 13 points, 6 rebounds to lead the way. Piakowski tried to throw a pass. Johnson finds it outside. 3-point range. Won't go, and the whistle inside. And the foul over the top is going to be on Terrence Badgett. That is his first. So the Three-pointer won't go, and we want to remind you next Sunday here on ABC Sports, the Pizza Hut College basketball doubleheader. Game 1, North Carolina and Georgia Tech out of the ACC, DePaul and Memphis State. Some of you folks will see. And then our other coverage, Louisville at UNLV, Oregon and UCLA, Cal and Stanford. Next Sunday, right here on ABC Sports.
Hey, Louisville, a hot team. They've won 11 out of 12. The only loss they've had in that stretch was to Kansas, who blew them out at home. Cliff Rozier's been going crazy on the glass. 18, 20 rebounds a night.
They need a big road win, though.
They got to beat
a quality team as Walters measures from 3 and hits.
I'll tell you, so many weapons on this Kansas team. You can't really stop any one guy because they have so much balance.
Rex Walters with 5 points, and it's 43-31. That's the biggest Kansas lead at 12 points. Just underway second half from Lincoln. Chandler inside misses. Badgett the follow and got it.
Badgett, that slashing kind of player. He's only a freshman. He's going to have a heck of a career. Really learning how to play. Sat out last year. Was a